Okay, so I'm gonna do the first bubble exercise that I would do with every dog in their first day. This is Yancey. It's his first time here. He just came about 10 minutes ago, so I don't know anything about him. Um, so basically, we start with a long line. This one's about 15 feet. And a collar that the dog will respond to. So either a strong rock collar, prong collar, doesn't make any difference, just not a harness or a slipper. So I'm just going to walk around with him first and just get a feel for him, and then we'll go from there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to let him go wherever he wants. Okay, when he gets to the edge of the bubble, I'm just going to pull him a little bit off balance. We're not giving a hard leash correction just right off the bat. So I'm going to back up, give him just a little bit of pressure, and then walk away. Okay, so that time when I slowed down, he was aware that I slowed down, and that's what we're looking for, is for the dog to start to understand. We want the dog to understand where the person is and what to do with it. So if I move away from the dog, I want the dog to notice. If they don't, I give a little leash correction. So I'm not saying anything to the dog just yet because the dog doesn't know anything. Again, I go right back to the same place, stop again, and his attitude is a little different. Again, I'm going to walk away from the dog, see what he does. This time when I moved away, he wanted to come too. So I want the dog to start seeing my space as somewhere where all pressure goes away from them. Okay, so this is all we're doing in this beginning phase is just walking away from the dog and letting them come back to our space. There's no real distractions around here right now, but that's because we want this on the lowest, easiest level for the dog so that the dog continues to come back and settle, and this is their safe zone. You notice I don't have any pressure on the leash here. I'm not talking to the dog or trying to give the dog any instruction because, again, he doesn't know anything. All I want him to know is that his new relationship with me is that any pressure he feels goes away as he gets closer to me. So I want the dog to look to share my space. So as we start going, we just keep the rules the same. I allow the dog to get distracted. If he wants to get distracted, that's totally fine. I just want him to see that the rules of the bubble stay the same even when he's distracted. So comes over here, he might want to go sniff something. Even if the leash is under his leg, it's no big deal because I'm just giving him a little touch. I'm not giving him a hard leash brush. Okay, so when I turned around, he turned around. If I'm moving forward, if I stop him back up, I want him to notice that I moved away from him. Again, I'm not getting too worried about the dog being tangled in the leash. So this is what I'm looking for. I want the dog to start matching my direction and matching my speed. So as he starts to pick this up, then I start to challenge him a little bit more. So I'm going to stop and turn a little quicker. Again, I don't care if he doesn't notice. It doesn't make any difference to me. I just keep the rules the same. So you notice I'm not going or anything like that because it doesn't really matter. I'm letting him figure this out on his own. Now I'm going to go a little bit faster and then stop short and just see what he does. Okay. So he's starting to get the idea. Again, I don't care if he wants to go test the boundaries of the bubble. It doesn't make any difference. I'm not going to stop him from doing that. Even if he's doing everything just right, If I walk up closer to where Anthony, who's holding the camera, is, he wanted to go see him, that's fine. But he has to see that the rules of the bubble still apply no matter what his motivation is. If he wants to go get a drink of water, see another dog, chase a squirrel, sniff grass, attack a dog, it doesn't make any difference why the dog wants to leave the bubble. The rules are exactly the same. Even if what he's wanting to do is harmless or friendly, I'm not going to allow it just because I've decided it's friendly. The dog needs to see the rules are exactly the same all the time in this beginning phase of the training. So I'm going to walk up where he might be tempted to ignore me and move away, and he's coming too. So now that I've gotten the dog to come with me a handful of times, I'm pretty certain that if I back away from the dog is going to come too. Now I can start to introduce the concept of the dog coming when I call him, okay? So I'm going to watch and see what he does. If he starts to do the behavior that I call come, which is traveling to me, then I'm going to start naming that behavior so he understands that when he feels that urge to come to me, there's a name for that. Yancy, come. Like that. So the very first lesson he's learning is there's a boundary around me he should stay in, and when I come, or when I call, he should come to me. Yancy, come. So I will, as we go with the training, then this pausing behavior that he's doing, every time I stop and he stands next to me, after a while we're going to name that behavior wait. And wait just means stay in the bubble. Yancy, wait. So I'm just going to tell him what it is when he's doing it. Yancy, come. Wait. Okay. So this is step one. Now the dog is offering me focus. He's wanting to share my space. And for me, now the dog is ready to start training.